Welcome back. In this segment, I'm going to have a conversation on two important things. We're going to start with the U.S.-Israel versus Iran conflict, war, and its implications on Nigeria. And then we're going to talk about the 2027 presidential race, which is, by the way, less than 1 year away. Now, to join me in that State of the Nation review and talking about this big issue in the news of U.S. Israel-Iran war, I have the former editor-in-chief and former managing director of the Guardian newspaper, who is currently a columnist and a veteran journalist, Mr. Martins Oloja. Mr. Oloja, good to see you again on Inside Sources.
You're welcome.
There was a real trend the last time you came.
Yes.
You know, and it's your first time this year.
Yes.
Let's start with what is happening globally. The war between the Americans and the Israelis on the one hand and Iran. I want you to take us through how you think this has implications for us in Nigeria, especially, in the economy where we see the price of crude oil go up and down, and whatever other dimensions. Let's just open the conversation that way.
No, definitely, the way everybody has seen it now that, well, just as I wrote in my Inside Stuff article as part of introduction, I just asked a rhetorical question. What if? Like everybody is worried around the world. Look at the British Parliament. It's like everyday issue about energy, the implication on energy and how the state will have to subsidize whatever, because the citizens are very worried that if this strait of this Hormuz is blocked like that
for a long time,
for a very long time like that is going to be a problem, and that the insurance companies, most of them in the United Kingdom, are not ready to insure that risk, and that is the big issue. It's not about the physical passage; it's about the financial implications for insurance companies like that. And no insurance company will want to take that risk, because you can't trust what Iran could do at any moment, because they keep saying that it remains closed and that they have to block that place. So the implications around the world, as one analyst said, is going to be remarkable, and we are going to feel it. Even the people in the developed world are feeling it and they are discussing it.
Right.
But we are going to feel it more here because, this energy crisis, especially petroleum products, gas and all these things, diesel, the prices have been crushing to us. But now it is going to be, and that's what I asked in the introduction to my article, that what if this Dangote refinery,
if it's not in there,
I don't care at this time. We know that even the prices are still crushing, but it will have been worse.
It will have been worse.
Because people will have been expecting something. Right now, we also will be worried how he will get, if he will continue to get crude.
Because it's also getting from abroad.
Yes, most of the time he gets it from abroad. So but then, he will get it from abroad. If he gets it from abroad, he would still, refining it here is going to make some difference.
Absolutely.
It's going to make some difference, and at least it will be available. Even if it's expensive, it will be available. So the implication is still there. And look at, we keep having even disruption in the telecoms process now, that are the telephony. And even you see disruptions everywhere. That the diesel, it is still part. These facilities are part of the victims of the energy crisis we have, because the base stations of these telecoms companies may not be able to cope with even the diesel that they buy to power the base stations.
The price for that is also going up.
It's going up. Gas supply, even domestic gas supply and all those things like that, the implications will be grave. But as we keep reading, it's a very small world now. Knowledge is some currency now. Knowledge of, understanding the times.
Yeah.
Having knowledge of the times is good for individuals to say, look, you have to find a way of managing this understanding of the times. You manage it individually, but then the implication will still be crushing to everybody, to individuals, to organizations, especially the energy crisis we have always had even this band A problem there, to the extent that many members of the so-called elite cannot afford to even put on air conditioners 24/7 or even 18 hours. They said they will supply us because
there's no supply for 20. I think it's 20 hours or so.
They said 18 to 20 hours. I've never had anything like that wherever.
Exactly.
And they charge. But then it's still going to be crushing for everybody. And what interests me is the link to United Kingdom. I watch Sky News all the time. I don't depend on only one of all these channels. And I see the vibrancy in the parliamentary system where they get the prime minister to be accountable.
Put him on the spot.
To put him on the spot every hour.
We need that in Nigeria.
We need that in Nigeria. Yeah. So it is surprising that these things we are discussing here have not touched our parliamentarians. They are talking on only the mandate. They are talking on only 2027 amendment of Electoral Act and all those things. There is no emergency session to discuss how Nigerians could cope, how they will help as representatives of the people to cope with the implications of what we have at this time. So that's my worry. And we also call on people to continue to hold our leaders to account at this time. We should be calling on our legislators. What is going on? When are you going to discuss? How are you going to subsidize operations of people? If you don't care, businesses will die. And these businesses die, this one means loss of jobs of Nigerians. And you know the implication on security. If more and more people lose jobs at this time, insecurity will get another name.
Well, I think you're very right. It's just also that we have very, very serious crisis on our hands.
Yes.
Insecurity.
Insecurity, yes.
Big deal. The economy itself is, neither here nor there. Quite very testy. But I wanted to ask you. Let's discuss. So, what do you think the governments should be doing in the area of the economy? The economic shocks of this U.S.-Israeli versus Iran war.
Yes, what the government, including maybe beginning with the parliament, with the National Assembly and the state assemblies, is the way they are also handling it, even at the Congress, and the way they are discussing the implications at the Congress. What they are bringing out the data every day. This is how much we are spending every day on this thing.
And the Americans are suffering. They call it gasoline.
Yeah, gasoline.
The prices are going up.
The prices are going up. And
past $3.
Yes, past $3. And now
per gallon.
Yes, per gallon. And now we have been discussing this. This is an unfinished business of, subsidy is gone. The implications have been there with us. There will be releasing some figures about people that they are paying every month, that the social security scheme, they said they have been paying some people. But generally, we have not seen any concrete step in the way maybe even the late General Abacha handled it in those days with Petroleum Trust Fund. That nothing has been put in place for the people to be able to absorb the shock. All that we have seen is that we have had more revenue and we are giving more of such revenue to the state governors. And up to yesterday, the last night when the president met with media executives, I was there.
Okay.
And he was still reiterating that the media shouldn't be putting too much pressure
on him.
As the head of the federal government, they should also be asking questions
from the governor,
and especially the federating units and even the local governments, that they have more money now. They even triple what they have been getting, and they are not owing anybody. The state workers now get their salary. They don't borrow to pay. But how many workers, generally? How many workers?
Compared to the population.
Compared to the population. So the governments at all levels, from federal through state to local government, should be monitoring, should be doing some risk assessment. They should get some experts to do risk assessment reports about the implication of this thing, especially with the kind of purchasing power that we don't have here. And how many people are actually employed? What of the youths? Look at the way people are going into this NYSC. People are coming out. They are churning out more universities. And in other words, we are churning out more graduates. How skilled are the graduates? Even the ones that are skilled, where are the openings? Where are the jobs for them? And if our population, we should study the implications of this exploding population all the time. And the graduates while we are producing, even if we have skills now, the industrialization here is very, very slow. We do not, even people setting up any factories or anything, the cost of production has been very, very prohibitive, to the extent that people just depend entirely on China and the Southeast Asia to bring in a lot of, it is easier now, even if you want to organize a birthday party for your children, instead of going to maybe Lagos market or any market to do some things, you just call somebody in China, they bring all those things. Before we know it, now they may be bringing Gary from
and that
from
means
China.
that we are losing, even jobs.
We're losing jobs, and it will be more crushing. You will see the implication. As this thing has happened now, is going to be with us for a very long time. Because even the hitman, President Donald Trump, is not even aware of when this thing is going to end. But he's briefing. But in his own case, his brief is the one that is prosecuting this thing.
Yeah.
He's briefing the people. Yesterday, he briefed the people. With his with headset, and they were just briefing the people. We felt that we should return to we are in a democracy. We have a bicameral legislature at the federal level, and they drive everything in Nigeria. It's now that the president is beginning to talk concretely about federalism. We are still running a very central government. And we are talking about how to decentralize. Even as we are here now, I believe that at the federal level, even at the state level, the members of the legislature, our own representatives, should be holding meetings at this time, even during the weekends, to discuss the implication for the people. As I was at the reception now, I saw that they were talking of standing on a mandate in Owerri. They were discussing it on the live television. They are not even concerned about what, they don't even know what is, they don't care about what is happening in the world. It's a small world now. Whatever is happening
in one place
is reverberate, especially energy system. It's a global market.
It is.
And the implication will be on all the world citizens, not to talk of even Nigeria, where we have been managing so many things, but we deny a lot of realities. We deny reality of this one, reality of genocide, we deny it, reality of inflation, we deny it, Federal Office of Statistics data they use to sometimes to confound the people, and they just use statistics anyhow. To just tell us now that this is exactly what is happening, we are doing well. They should allow some of us from outside the system to tell them that they are doing well.
Exactly. Excellent point. So let's conclude on these implications of the Iran conflict, because I think it's the U.S. Embassy that made a statement that, well, look, we're going to have to close our embassy, and I think they also they've closed the American school here in Abuja. For fear.
They were still there yesterday. They closed by midday.
That's the embassy.
Yeah, the school.
Okay.
The American school. They still watch the situation like
they
yesterday.
Have very light skeletal service.
Yes, skeletal service, and they closed by midday yesterday as I watched.
So the question is, if the Americans are afraid that Iran, there can be some kind of backlash on them. What they are saying basically is that, there are Nigerians who might want to take advantage, or do you think that they are afraid of an external attack? How do you read that alarm that they raised?
No, definitely. And I think that if you watch what our people are doing, they may not have been making so much noise. But I think that the security agencies, the armed forces, they are on the alert. Because when you get to the airport, you will see that they are ready to handle any emergency at the airports. And when you get to some places, you will see that they don't take it for granted. Even yesterday, in front of Sedi Plaza, I was answering a call in the night. I think when we returned from the State House, I was in the car. I was answering a call, and because just in front of Sedi Plaza, and I saw that some police just patrol van stopped by my car, and they were very civil. We'll give it to them. They were very civil. They wanted to be sure that the environment was safe, that I was not planning anything. And I praised them. I even praised them for being so watchful. And the way they approached me, I wound down, and they spoke with me, and they saw that, well, this is a gentleman, it's a very harmless person, and they left. And you see them all over the place. I think I want to believe that they are doing that all over the country. But at least I saw at the airport, you see vans of the military people, police, joint operations, everywhere. I believe that they are vigilant. And they don't take it for granted. They believe that anything can happen. You know, this place, what has been happening is even now that they are not demonstrating every day. You see that they have killed people before, even for the other Hebdo, for even a cartoonist doing something as simple as that one, like that. But this time, you did the sect organizing demonstrations all over the place, and I think they are
much calmer.
Yes.
So we will continue this conversation with Mr. Oloja on Friday when we have the concluding part. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means Nigeria will win, partly because we will keep raising the major issues. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition. I wanted to ask you, right now there are 4 Nigerians who we know are interested in the 2027 race. There are 4 of them that we know. The president himself, his party men have been going all over.
And nobody is likely to contest.
Exactly. Saying that they have given him second term already and all of that. In the ruling party. And in the opposition, we have at least 3 candidates. From the south, we have Mr. Rotimi Amaechi. We have Mr. Peter Obi. And then in the north, we have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Yes.
Let's start with the president. I mean, whom you had a meeting with, alongside other. How do you think is preparing for that election, considering some of the things that he himself has said in the past? 2 things I will highlight to you, and then we will respond. He said that, look, and I think he even told you guys that, look, we asked for this job, and we know it's tough.
Yes, tough.
I think he said that.
He said so.
Okay.
Said so.
That's one. So that people shouldn't play. And then he said during the campaigns in 2023 that if he doesn't solve the power problem,
and they have been sharing the newspapers that published all those things.
He said that if I don't solve the power problem and even make sure that you guys get, you don't pay estimated billing, that when I come out to vote, don't vote for me. Against those 2 backgrounds, I want us to do some kind of analysis and psychoanalysis. How is he? Because clearly, he hasn't achieved. We are still struggling. With power. We don't have power. Not to even talk of I don't know the situation with estimated billing, but there's no power.
Yes.
So, what's your reading of his? Let's do a psychoanalysis of how he's going to go into that race with that baggage.
Here, I want to believe that we still do not have the civic competence within the populace. Civic competence, the kind of civic awareness, the understanding that the word of these politicians is supposed to be sacrosanct, that we are supposed to hold them to account for the promises that they have not fulfilled. I believe that we do not have that voter education that they are talking about within INEC and voter education. And the political parties, now, who should be doing this? This thing was brought out from the social media. They did some data mining and brought out the promises that were published on the front pages of 6 newspapers that everybody is sharing now. That is trying to spread some awareness. However, regardless of my own claim about civic competence that we still do not have.
Yeah.
But then, this is a wake-up call for not only for the political leaders, for us in the media and civil society to hold these, our leaders, and this particular leader to account. Because I was just joking before we even started this thing that how many members of the so-called elite, the business class and all those things like that can even afford to put on this cooling system. Whether it's the refrigerator at home or your air conditioner, even if it is because of the cost alone, it's not even about availability. The cost, it is not even available. Even the newspapers that you see today, you see people are talking about the implication of this energy crisis that you see now. I sat down the day before yesterday in a place in Lagos. Within an hour, they had power outage about 13 times. It was just going and come where they had band A. In other words, we do not have. And then there was a signal that was sent. I don't know how many people are reading the signal. And I think that the last count now, the office of the president, the State House, the permanent secretary went to the National Assembly public hearing on appropriation for 2026 that they had invested 17 billion. Last year, they invested 10 billion for the solar energy system.
For the villa.
And this year, for the villa.
Getting out of grid.
Yes, and then this year, it will be 7 billion. So about 17 billion. Now for solar system for the presidential villa alone, not for Abuja. So what is, we have to juxtapose this one with the promise to give the country electricity for the industries to function and for even the people to function effectively, for people to live, so on. So when you juxtapose this, that the office of the president is going to be disconnected from the national grid, is what of Abuja, what of the MDAs, what of the federal bureaucracy generally?
Not to talk of the people.
Maybe we should begin to ask, if not the president, begin to ask the president's agent, that is the minister in charge of power, who we have read is also eyeing.
I mean, I get your point, Mr. Lodger. Let's focus on the president. We're talking about the election.
Yes.
I want to ask you, what do you think he will say? Because it's clear he wants to get a second term. You know, you and I even believe that the way they run like just politics, like you said, you'll probably get it. But how do you think he's going to confront the electorate with the fact that he has failed shabbily on the question of power?
I will not focus on what he will say because I will not be able to speculate. I will rather focus on the media, what we should ask.
Okay. I get your point.
You see now?
Yeah.
As a politician, he will have something to say. He will have an escape route. But we should be asking ourselves in the media, how should we confront him with that question?
Okay.
Of how his promise, he has less than a year, and this is the situation we have found ourselves in. He has he has disrupted the economic architecture, and now he's saying that he is getting more revenue.
Well,
how are we going to ask the contextualization I was giving you that in the office of the president, the presidency, what we call the presidency, is not just the whole presidency, the presidential villa, which is now outside the original 3 arms zone. That place alone is going to consume 17 billion, and from that, they are going to disconnect the office of the president. We do not, he is the president. He needs security, we need it. We, the people, too, need electricity. How he is going to explain that one to the people? I am disconnected. As long as I have this mandate, I am going to use, I have used, have budgeted 17 billion for solar energy system. What of the Federal Capital Territory? What of the people within the Federal Capital Territory? What of the people in the 36 states of the Federation? How are we going to do? What of the industries? How are they going to? It is, I will, instead of concentrating on his answer, instead of speculating, I will rather ask
it should be put to task.
It should be put to task.
Excellent.
That I'm talking to members of the opposition.
Right.
You know that to get power from somebody in power in Nigeria, the incumbency advantage is there. And this particular grandmaster, the way he's organizing his politics and the game plan now, it's not easy. So they should bring something more profound
to the table.
And even mobilize the young ones who are very knowledgeable, very fast, very sharp-witted now. Before they get them to their side, the opposition should bring facts, data to the table for us to be able to make up our mind.
Okay, because of our time, let's round up the conclusion. And I want you to talk about those three candidates that we have so far. Now, I will make a comment and then you respond and then we close it.
Yeah.
So we have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we have Rotimi Amaechi and Peter Obi. Now, I have a fundamental concern about rotational presidency. I believe that with due respect to the former Vice President Abubakar, his insistence in running in 2023 is the most significant factor in the death and destruction of PDP. This is my view. Now, if the ADC makes the same mistake and, say that, oh, look, we're going to throw it open, I think it will be the way they will destroy ADC, because I think that issue of rotational presidency is getting entrenched in our mentality. After 8 years with Buhari from the north, I think people are saying that give us 8 years in the south. So that takes me to the second part, and then you give the final conclusion. So that leaves us with Amaechi and Peter Obi. Now, I think if the opposition were serious, those are the two people that you ought to be pushing out. And if there are other people from the side that you want to push, look at Peter Obi. He did very well, in the last election. Amaechi came second in the APC primaries. And whatever you say about the Buhari years, which I was a part of, people know that, one of the major things that happened in that administration is the advance in infrastructure. And so Amaechi was the guy behind it for the most part. So they have two good candidates in the South that they ought to be pushing, that they're not pushing. And there seems to be this, everybody believes that, look, this thing is just going to be a coronation for Atiku Abubakar. I think that will destroy the opposition. Your comment?
No, definitely, I can't disagree with this analysis. It's just to even, just to look at it this way, that, well, this rotational issue is for us now like fundamental objective, and it's what they use in building peace in Nigeria.
Yeah,
within the system.
Yeah,
it was
actually the PDP.
The PDP, and then that was what this Hurricane Wike used.
Yeah,
and that was why his campaign against his own party candidate at that time
That's why it was
successful. And he was going around the world to campaign against him that, look, we cannot get another northerner, another candidate from the north to succeed.
I think it's insensitive.
Yes, that is insensitive. And that was why that campaign was very successful. And that it helped the APC candidate at that time. The campaign of Wike against...
Of course.
Yeah, we knew, we don't want to talk about where Wike was coming from, that he also wanted to be candidate, wanted to be running mate.
Yeah.
But when he held on to that argument, that no, it was successful and it helped. This way, I am not too sure that these people have learned some lessons from the background you just gave. That, look, if Atiku Abubakar, former vice president of this country, is not a small boy. He has this political stature. He has the networkers all over the place.
True.
But the elements at this time, I think people may be tired. I don't think he can get That is my own view as an analyst,
Right.
that I do not believe that he can get enough vote against the person who is completing,
Yeah.
who is rounding off his first term
Yeah.
in Nigeria now. This
Absolutely.
grandmaster
Thank
is
you.
possible but not expedient.
Not expedient, and I like that. Thank you so much. Free advice to the opposition.
Yes.
That if you play the game the way Nigerian politicians play the game, you cannot beat Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
You cannot at this time.
The only way to play the game, if you want to have a contest against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is to change the dynamics.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Martins Oloja.
You're
We're going to be having more of these conversations as we move close to the presidential election in January of 2027. Yes. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Insightful contribution.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means Nigeria will win, partly because we will keep raising the major issues. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition. Thank you for watching.